I mean, we were talking the other day about context in all of this. We've got a bit more context, which, I mean, frankly, our viewers are furious that all the focus has been on the actions of an officer. Now, I know they need to be investigated, but when you see what those officers were facing in the moments before that incident, a lot of people saying, well, they're not surprised he reacted in the way he did.
Yes, it's a very brutal assault, and the way he takes out two female officers. But what you've got to ask yourself, Stephen, all the time is what kind of police force do we want? We don't want one that runs away when, like we saw in Leeds, and I suggest we don't want one where officers dish out retribution, because what's happened here, because the officer kicked the suspect, the suspects now have the upper hand, when they go to court. If that kick hadn't have happened, those men would have been arrested and they would have been sent to prison. There would have been none of this. What we need is officers who are professional and hold their cool, and that's especially the point with firearms officers. Firearms officers are highly trained, and we expect them to really maintain their cool at the right times. And it just looks to me, unfortunately, like the officer lost it here. Yes, we can understand why he lost it, but the facts are, when you're a police officer, you've got to be professional, you're on camera, and kicking people in the head is highly dangerous. You can kill people with one punch, one kick, and we don't expect the police to do that.
Mike, do you think it's fair that the officer concerned in this is already under criminal investigation?
It was inevitable, given the video that was released, and even if it was today, if we saw all that today, it would still happen. The suspects, they should obviously be charged with a fray, GBH, and whatever other offences. But the facts are, no matter, it's no good saying that, oh yes, they deserved it and this sort of thing. The question I ask again is that the sort of police force that we want? Do people want it that when somebody's done something wrong, the police dish out the punishment? The country we live in is that the police arrest people, they put them before the courts, and the courts decide the punishment. That's a free and democratic society. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, I mean, look, you raise really valid points, and you're a man who understands this better than the rest of us, frankly, Mike. But I tell you what, there've been people messaging in today, and it does resonate a little bit, who've said, if this had happened in another country, if this was in the United States, these men wouldn't be able to follow this through. They'd have been shot attacking firearms officers like this.
But is that what we want? The British police were seen as the best in the world, the most professional, the ones who just had a truncheon, not a firearm, the ones who were friendly and nice, who dealt with things, the British Bobby. So do we want to move to a sort of European model where the sticks come wading out and giving people a good hiding before we ask questions? I just don't think it's the way forward. And a parallel I would draw with this is when the Marine sergeant shot the unarmed Taliban prisoner in Afghanistan, and there was all sorts of cries that he shouldn't be prosecuted and the like. The facts are, if people shot unarmed British prisoners, it would be an outrage, like we see at the end of the Great Escape movie and whatever else. And we've got to be better. The police and the army have got to be better than the enemy. They've got to hold the moral high ground.
Mike, I think that one of the reasons we're seeing such an emotional response to this is because just the week beforehand we saw the Leeds riots, where the police were very notable by their absence and were almost running away from trouble. So this is the polar opposite of that. So what do we want in this country? Do we want a police force or do we want a police service?
Yeah, that's exactly the question I asked at the start. And I think what people are seeing is this is some sort of, all right, they ran away in Leeds, so they get a good beat in the airport, so that's like sort of fair dues. But it's neither are right, in my view. We can't have that. The police allowed Leeds to be a no-go zone, and that's really unacceptable, and let people at risk. And in this case, like I say, can we have firearms officers losing their cool? And the answer is no, we can't. They are the most highly trained and professional officers. They have to make the most split-second decisions, and we need the right kind of officers in that role.
OK, Mike, really appreciate your thoughts and, of course, your expertise. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.